Does grammar matter? I don't know how many of you who watch these videos are also writers. I know most of my followers, the vast majority of my followers on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, are all writers. Now, I've written a few books myself, I've edited a lot of books, and I've read a vast amount of books. So it only seems reasonable that from time to time I will say something related to the world of writing. And this is going to be one of the videos devoted to that subject. I'm sorry if I alienate anyone by doing this, but I know I'm making it difficult for my viewers because I don't stick to any particular one topic. You can't really put me in a category. I know that many people think that there is an excessive emphasis on grammar and spelling, and that that's somewhat tedious. They're probably right some of the time. Um, I'm not a grammar Nazi. I can see room for flexibility and deviating from the rules, and I'll say a little bit about that later on. I've read quite a few self published books, and I've also, of course, read a lot of books before they're published because I've been editing them. Perhaps I'm being pedantic when I notice a spelling or grammatical error in a book that I'm reading, in a traditionally published book. Does it really matter, for example, that the word battlefield is one word, not two? Does it really matter if people write its rather than its to indicate belonging to it? Well, some things matter and some things don't. Some things matter today and won't matter tomorrow. Language is a living, evolving thing. There aren't really rules and standards, although some people would like to say there are. Rather, there are guidelines and common usage. For the sake of creativity, these guidelines can and should be broken from time to time. Sometimes, though, not using the correct grammatical form or spelling can result in ambiguity and misunderstanding. We're all probably familiar with the fact that eats, shoots, and leaves can mean very different things if the punctuation changes. This is not a trivial matter. It's not simply a matter of pedantry. The author may not realize that he or she has introduced ambiguity or misunderstanding by writing what seems perfectly clear and unambiguous to them. See, there is a place for editors here. Should we only care about spelling, grammar, and punctuation when it makes the meaning unclear? Possibly. If the meaning is clear, does nothing else matter? It's a question of degree, I think, like most things. And of course, it's different in written language compared to spoken language. And often in a book, when I'm editing a book, I treat the dialogue in the book differently from the way I treat the narrative because I know that spoken English is a very rough and ready and approximate thing. Yeah, we break sentences all the time, we misuse words, we put punctuation in the wrong place, and so on. But it is good to have some kind of standard of spelling and grammar so that everyone is on the same page, so to speak. I hope those that profess not to be concerned about spelling and grammar are not simply being lazy or not just ashamed about their own lack of knowledge in this area. It doesn't hurt to know what acceptable usage is, even if you choose to ignore it. At least it gives you, as an author, a choice. One thing I notice all the time in writing is the comma splice. This is the practice of linking two sentences together with only a comma, and it's not good usage. Consider this sentence. He was late to work today. He missed his bus. It's not uncommon to see a comma used there, but really those pieces before and after the comma are each an individual sentence and they shouldn't be linked with a comma. What it should say is either He was late to work today, full stop. He missed his bus. Or, perhaps better, he was late to work today because he missed his bus. Well, perhaps you think that guideline or rule is silly. That's fine. You're not alone. I see the comma splice used quite often, and not just in amateur writing or self-published books, but in traditionally published books as well, and even classic books. Perhaps it doesn't matter. But don't ignore it because you didn't even know that you were doing it. That's my point. For someone who is serious about being a writer, who wants to be recognized as a good writer, it's important that you try to follow these guidelines as well as you can. And then feel free to ignore them when you really want to, when you want to make a point.